meet you in chambers because that's where it is.
Can I do it quickly? She caught the first.
All right, thank you, Councilmember Bradford, for trying to call this meeting. All right, can you close the? All right. Today is Thursday, November 7th, and excited to gather around the table today. I would like to call the meeting of the Arts, Parks, Libraries, and Entertainment Committee to order, and we'll go through roll call. So I am here. Bradford?
Here.
Councilmember Cap, I did see him outside, so he said he'll be on his way. Councilmember Eastlick?
Here.
Ewing?
On time.
Hancock?
How delightful.
Lee? Councilmember Stiles here. Taylor, I saw outside, but I don't see him in here. Councilmember Vo, Vice Chair Vo is on her way. Councilmember Welsh.
I am here.
So we have, let's see here, yeah, we got enough to move forward. So pursuant to public comment rules, if anyone, it looks like we.
Agenda.
Oh, the agendas are passed out.
We know where we're headed.
We have no one signed up for public comments, so we won't worry about that unless someone's here who wanted to sign up for public comment. Okay. With that, we've got resolutions on the agenda that we'll go through one by one rather than putting on a consent calendar in order to give time for questions. But then we do want to reserve the last few minutes and move through quite quickly to give chair report and updates from any committee members that may have some. And then just to kick us off before I read through the resolutions, in light of the election results on Tuesday, I know we have some local things that some of us are excited about, but I do want to take a moment to acknowledge that many in our community are hurting and scared for other national results. And with that, just want to reassure that folks in this committee, and as we have been, tackling really difficult issues, and different council members have tackled very difficult issues, whether that's equity and funding, whether that's in creating safe places and places that we can be in our parks, which should be open to all, in our libraries, which are essential, and to our other public facilities. Dissent is something that we don't take out on our colleagues or the public when they express concerns or questions. Just want to make sure we continue to create this a safe place when other places will not feel like safe places. So thank you all for being here. And with that, we'll go through Councilmember Cap. Great to have you.
Great to be here.
Mark you down as present. So resolution RS 2024-826, Porterfield, Gad, Welsh, Allen, others, approves a grant application from the Tennessee Department of Disability and Aging to the Nashville Public Library for the purchase and installment of a powered adult-sized changing table in the single occupancy restroom of the Bordeaux Branch Library. Is there a motion?
Move. Second.
Wonderful. Is there anyone here from the library that may want to share? I'm excited about seeing this. I think we've discussed the need for these in the past from the class. Are there any questions or comments on this?
I just have one comment /
Yeah,
sort of
Councilmember Ewing.
question. I signed on to this because I'm excited about it, but I do wonder if we have plans, if the library has plans to do more of this type of thing in other areas of the city.
I think that's a wonderful question. I'll make that down. Councilmember Bradford?
I'll just, replying to that, I know as they're going forward with new libraries, it is included because the Donaldson Library, they have one. And so
That's good news.
I think this is probably their attempt to kind of go back and retrofit existing, but going forward, I think libraries are very intentional with including those.
I love it. Thank you very
Wonderful.
much.
Thank you for that. And let's get that in front of the libraries, asking for their plans there. I think that's wonderful. Any other questions or comments? All in favor, please indicate by voting aye. Any opposed? Okay. Oh, hold on. I count myself. Item number 2, RS 2024-827, accepts a grant, or Porterfield Gad Welsh accepts a grant from the USTA Southern Tennis Association to the Metropolitan Board of Parks and Rec for hosting 3 tennis events for the community in 2024, July of 2024, which I guess that was.
They're paying.
Oh, payback. Okay, we'll get there. Sorry, is there a motion?
I'm gonna lob a move.
Second.
That was wonderful. There's been a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion? Anyone from the parks want to?
They had a tennis tournament this summer at Hadley, and they're paying $900 back for supplies and some field trips for the kids at Hadley.
Okay, that's why the date there. Wonderful. Thank you so much. I hope that was a success. Is there any other questions or comments on this? Oh, Vice Chair Vo, thank you so much. All in favor? We'll go to a vote. All in favor? Any opposed or abstentions? With that, we'll go to item number 3. If somebody will share this, anybody else need the agenda since I was hogging them earlier? Good.
I think we're good.
Councilmember Vo, we announced you were on your way, so we're excited. Item number 3, RS 2024-828, Porterfield Gad Welsh Ewing and Swara, accept a child and adult care food program grant from the Department of Human Services to the Metropolitan Parks and Recreation Department to provide nutritious meals and snacks for children and adults attending after-school programs at 15 community centers. Is there a motion and a second?
I serve a motion.
Thank you.
All right, we have a motion served and a second been moved. Are there any comments or questions from anyone on the committee? Anyone from the Parks Department want to make any other statements about this?
$750,000 from the Tennessee Department of Human Services for 15 community centers after-school programs, and if y'all want a list of them, Kirkpatrick, East Shelby, Cleveland, McLaren, South Inglewood, Madison, Hartman, Louis, Hadley, West Park, Napier, Colvin, Watkins, and Smith Springs.
And your next job will be an auctioneer. Fantastic.
Thank you for reading those off, though. I think it is helpful for folks out in the communities that will.
And they're the
really
most
need this.
used after-school programs, so
Yeah.
that's what they're going to go.
Wonderful, thank you.
You're welcome.
And I agree with with my colleague over here. You've got a second career on waiting. If everyone's ready for the vote, any other comments or questions from the committee? Seeing none, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any abstentions or against, please note that. We are moving forward. Hi, Council Member Lee. We marked you here. It's wonderful to see you. Let's pass the additional. Thank you. And we are on number 4 on our agenda, and that's page 2, RS 2024-829, approves amendment number 1 to a sole source contract between the Metropolitan Government and US eDirect, Inc. to amend Exhibit A pricing, among other things. So there's not much description here in our description. But with that, let me ask for a
Motion.
and a second.
Second.
Okay, second. I want to pause here and ask, is anyone here would like to share? And please, I didn't do this to Kevin because we've known him. He comes a lot.
I'm
We're
gonna say I'm
happy to
old.
have
You
you.
don't have to say I'm old, okay? You're going to say
I will, he's old.
But if you will say your name and your department, and I'll ask him to do the same to be fair. So,
I'm Nathan Rajaratnam, and I work for Metro Nashville Parks and Recreation. I oversee our point-of-sale system, which currently is responsible for the point-of-sale for all of our facilities. Our current contract vendor is no longer making upgrades to the golf facilities because they had to build out a specific, basically software just for that since it's so specific to those facilities. Instead of continuing to do upgrades, they're asking to be able to subcontract to another software that already specifically makes golf point-of-sale software. And so it's no additional cost to us. They're actually just going to allow or take on that subcontractor and then cover the cost until the end of the term of their contract.
I've got one question, but does any other members have any questions?
So that's why it would be sole source, because we're just moving it over to
It was
subcontract.
already a sole source the contract that
okay.
we have right now is sole source, and they're asking to add a subcontractor to kind of take those services on that are specific to golf, since they are not necessarily the best at it since they're doing everything. They're trying to pick someone that's specific to golf in order to give us a more robust software that's built out for golf facilities.
I'll save my question to the end. Councilmember Vo?
Thank you, Chair. When does the contract end with our,
January 1st, 2027.
okay. And can I just follow up?
Yeah, oh, yeah, of course.
Because since if they're not like versed in golfing, whenever we are re-upping, are we gonna look to find a partner that can really encompass everything?
Our intention is to find a vendor or vendors that are able to provide a good point of sale, depending on what funding is available.
Of course. Okay, thank you.
And do any other members have questions or comments? Last question, so on the golf side, is that's also going to take care of like when people are scheduling their time on the course? I've got McCabe, and so it's a highly used golf course. And
Yes, currently, we aren't able to do online tee times with the software that it's supposed to go to subcontract. We're not going to be able to do payments online, but you would be able to do your bookings online.
So that would change with this subcontract. That's great.
Yes.
But the payments will still change.
Yes, there may be some time, to change over to the new software and then work out, how we would set up, still allowing other user groups like seniors, if they're doing online bookings and if all the times are released at the same time.
Yeah.
Me versus someone else that, not necessarily saying a senior, but anyone else that may have more trouble navigating computer or booking a tee time on their phone. We may do some things where people are able to, book in person for an hour and then book over the phone for an hour and then release the rest of the times after that, just to allow different user groups the same ability
And
to access.
could we get an update on that, maybe in writing too, of what the plan is there? If there is actually a larger strategic goal, if this goes until 2027, it means that we're not probably going to see any additional changes. But if we could have something just to inform us on how we're managing those kind of bookings and payments and what the goals are for the Parks Department of managing those kind of golf cases, that would be really helpful, I think, for those of us that have an interest, since we're in the Parks community. So thank you so much. Any other questions? With that, we'll move on to the vote. And great to have Councilman Taylor in here, so thank you so much. All in favor, please indicate by voting aye.
Aye.
Abstentions, no votes, please let us know. Okay, that passes. Thank you so much for being here and to explaining that. That's very helpful to all of us and to making the trip down. Thank you so much. Or over. Item number 5, BL 2024-586, approves an agreement between, or Bo Porterfield, Welsh Allen Gad, approves an agreement between the Metro Department of Art, Parks and Rec, and the National Endowment for the Humanities, the Historic Preservation Society, Vanderbilt University, and Middle Tennessee State University regarding the descendant-led excavation at Fort Negley Park. Is there a motion?
Second.
Is there a second? Yes. With that, Councilmember Vo or anyone else who may be here that wants to speak to this?
Look, we brought Mr. Hester down just to speak to this, so at least let him say a word. Or
Yes, I'm gonna totally defer it to you.
Mr. Hester, if you will, please identify yourself for the committee, in case someone knows you.
Well, if there's any questions about it, what this is a grant from the National Endowment for Humanities for $150,000 not to Metro, but to the Fort Negley Descendants Project, which is a joint venture between Vanderbilt and MTSU. They're going to do an oral history project with the descendants, and then also they're going to do an archaeological dig. And what this does is set forth the standards. It says that they're going to follow the Secretary of Interior standards with the archaeology and then with the preservation of the records.
Wonderful. Are there any other questions? And will you please put your name and title for the record, and I'll ask Kevin to do the same. That will wrap it up for
Jim
you.
Astor, Assistant Director, Metro Parks.
Wonderful.
And Kevin Roden, Special Projects Manager, Metro Parks.
Wonderful. So we get the rest of them since we made. So thank you all so much. Are there any other questions or conversations on this? If not, all in favor, please indicate by voting aye.
Aye.
Any opposition or no votes, let us know. Okay, with that, we are concluded with our business. Thank you all so much for the guests. We are going to take a few more minutes here. I'm going to give a couple of updates. One is I have reached out to the arts, the interim director for our Arts Commission, our Arts Department, to request dates for having a special called meeting. And so we'll move forward with that. Is Councilmember Bo just, she's just down? That's wonderful. And I'll also I'll do it first with our calendars, and then just to find a couple of dates and make sure you all, we've prioritized the date to get as many of you all there as possible. But you'll get that, today's Thursday, so I'll try to have that done by Monday. But look at your email, and I'll try to make sure y'all do that to respond. So we'll just move forward in scheduling. The goal, I think, would be to have a special called meeting before the end of the month. I did communicate that with our interim director on Friday on the way to the LGBT caucus meeting we had Friday evening. And so we'll just move forward with dates in order to have her. With that, other departments, I'm going to turn this over to Councilwoman Stiles here to kind of walk through some things from what you've learned today. But with that, also, if you have departments or projects that are out in the departments that we have purview over that you want to have attention to, or have folks here to have additional time added for our meeting or a special call meeting, which we will do a special call meeting on the Parks Department on their plan to play in the new year, and we'll also have the library. But please send those over so we can start getting those scheduled and get those communicated on your calendars, because we can get anybody in here that y'all want to hear from. With that, Councilmember Stiles, you want to give us an update?
Well, thank you very much, Chair. So, as you all know, we've kind of been following along with Metro Arts. We passed the legislation so that the plan for the grant process has to come to us first before it is officially approved and they can distribute money to artists. So, this week they are having 3 community engagement meetings. There's one last night, there was one today, and there's one tomorrow. I went to the meeting today where they were discussing the 2 options that they're trying to determine for Thrive and also for operating grants. So Melanie just came in with these.
One on
Guys,
Vogue, too.
Who's got
Vogue. I just want to make sure Vogue gets one. And for
so
those
as
watching
there's
online, this is, if you'll,
so the request was made today during the meeting that these slides could be put up on the website so the public would be able to review them. They're not there right now. So when I went today, I asked if we could have copies because we were going to be meeting today. The goal is for that, yes, sir. The goal, of course, is the resolution that will come before us that will encompass both the operating grants and the Thrive program. So today, as I said, yesterday and today, tomorrow is all virtual. I did request, because they're taking comment cards, that they hold another public meeting where the artists can come in, where they can see if their comments have actually been incorporated. They didn't have one scheduled. So hopefully they will get one scheduled before the end of the month so that there's been comprehensive community engagement, taking it in and, presenting a new plan that takes in the feedback that they've received. With the goal being that the resolution comes before us before the end of the year. And so we've got Ashley here, of course, from MHRC, and we also have Ms. Lefkowitz, who is ever present, and appreciate it. So as I came in today and they were on option 2, if it's possible, can we ask, could you share what the 2 options are so the committee can hear and it can be on the record what is being discussed between the 2 options?
and if you could share your name, and we'll be here till we get kicked out, so we may abruptly cut the meeting off, just for those that are watching online. We're over our time, but if you'll identify who you are.
I will not speak about operating grants. I'm happy to speak about it.
I'm Heather Lefkowitz. I am a commissioner, a Metro Arts commissioner. I actually I've only seen version 1 briefly and only saw version 2 today. So we have not had a lot of time with the proposals. So I think if I said something, I would probably just be reading, is that okay?
That's fine.
And so then I'm going to read operating grant option 1, which was the one that we did, the grants committee talked about last time, and was brought to us, is the grant closeout. The period would be January to June 2015. $2.3 million allocated for operating grants, with $900,000 allocated towards Thrive. The scoring for the first proposal would be only organizations between 70% and 100% would be awarded funds. If you are a returning applicant under this plan, you'd receive 50% of what you were awarded in FY24. There would be no base percentage for awards. And this would be understood to be a transitional period. And there would be also award amounts for new organizations that are based on the smallest award in that category from last year, I believe. And that is operating grant 1, which I literally just read from the slide.
Well,
So,
thank you for, and that, just having that externalized for the public, I think helps in this space. We've got a couple more. Yeah, Ashley, did you want to add something to identify yourself for the?
Yeah, I'm Ashley Batchelder with the Metro Human Relations Commission. So I'm a member of the working group, which is tasked with developing a proposal for how to administer Thrive, which is the grant to individual and independent artists for projects. And so we are looking for a solution to the problem that state law requires grants be to 501c3 nonprofits and not individuals. So what we're proposing is a fiscal sponsorship framework that, it'll take the pool of applicants that are pending right now. Some of them might already be a 501c3, so they are all set. Some of them might have worked with a fiscal agent for other grants in the past. They might already have that relationship. They just change that on their application. For those that don't have that relationship with an organization, Metro Arts, with the assistance of the working group, is working to identify a number of nonprofits who are willing to serve that role. And so our proposal sort of fleshes out roles and responsibilities of fiscal agents, artists, how it'll work. It, of course, has to go to the commission for approval, and then the council, you all, for approval, and then it'll be the responsibility of Metro Arts staff to build it out and implement it. So the working group will kind of be done with the immediate task at that point. But I do want to say that is not really in the slides from today, and so I have requested that it be added to the website as well.
We've spent at least 2 more minutes and then try to leave, but Councilmember Stiles.
So I know there was the conversation in the working group that there are multiple nonprofits. Is that one option? Is there still an option where it's one nonprofit, or is that off of the table?
So the proposal that we are distributing for public feedback is not the one that everyone goes through on, because some might already have that. It gives them more autonomy of who they want to have that business relationship with. So that's the recommendation from the working group. Of course, if the commission gives it a thumbs down, says go figure something out, we will go figure something out. But our recommendation is.
So here's the question/concern that I have is, if we're asking multiple nonprofits to work with multiple artists, if something happens with any of those nonprofits, what happens to those artists that are working with those? So the other artists get their money, and then then that particular artist or artists don't get theirs because something hinky happens with their nonprofit. Are we vetting these? Just to know, like, who are these groups that are being proposed? Because I think that's important for us to know. If a plan that comes to us, it's not just Joe Blow's nonprofit that's friends with somebody.
We are vetting the pool that will be offered to people who need a fiscal sponsor. My conversations that I've had, some people already have that type of relationship, so they'll be all set. So for folks who say, I've never done this before, can you help me identify someone? That will be conversations that either working group members or staff members, art staff members have had. There's going to be a letter of agreement that roles and responsibilities for both parties.
And can you also, so we are officially 10 minutes over our budget time, and for people listening, and these questions are important and the answers are too, but if you could follow that up as well, and then we will get this scheduled, so we can invite, if you all want to participate in that, we'll get the dates to you to participate in the public hearing. And with that, I'm so sorry, but I'm going to call for if anyone has a motion to adjourn before folks panic for me.
I mean, what's happening?
I know, is there a second? Second. All right, so sorry, but, and thank you all for listening.